John Michael Rodriguez Ojeda is an undefeated MMA fighter. Until today. As the round starts off, I stare intimately at his right leg. Then, after he refuses to hold my hand, I punish him by shooting a super low single leg. John Michael seems to be extra springy today as he keeps his balance, and then he'll use the thread of the guillotine to free himself from the takedown attempt. After that, he forgets his jiu-jitsu and clocks me with a left hook, but I'll definitely make him pay for that later. I'll laugh it off for now, and then I use a technique I picked up from Gabriel. I level change down to sitting on my heel, then straighten out my neck and back to prevent getting guillotined. From here, I'm distinctively lower than John Michael, which should allow me to hunt for easy ankle picks as he closes the distance. I turn the ankle pick into a single leg, and we enter a position called dogfight. However, those of you who have rolled with me extensively, you know exactly what I'm looking for. I'll trade in my underhook for an overhook, and as I see an opening, I jump onto an attack I call the sunsetter triangle. This is a move that has defined my game and a staple I'll be using against the gym leaders across America. The basic idea is to force your opponent to post a hand on the ground and then throw your hips into them so you're nuts deep into their armpit. The outside leg comes high over the shoulders to give them a death pillow behind their head, then clip them in the jaw with your swing leg for bonus points. Now Mapache is decently familiar with this technique as we've been friends for quite a while, so he makes sure to posture as soon as I go down. To follow up the failed triangle, I try to enter K-guard, but he pushes my hook away, and due to my momentum, I unintentionally back roll, so he capitalizes by going to doggy style, I mean turtle. John Michael locks up a seatbelt grip, but I haven't worn that thing since I was 8 and I'm not starting now. On top of that, he missed his top hook, so I have a little bit of wiggle room. To start escaping, I cup his tricep and try to keep his shoulders on the mat as I turn out of back control. I can tell John Michael wants to get back at me for earlier in the year as he starts working his legs up into a triangle. At one point, things take a dark turn as he nearly isolates my head and arm, but luckily I'm able to bring his legs down and trap his knee, making it a lot more difficult for him to put my face between his thighs.
I don't know why some guy would like putting their legs around another man.
I'm able to separate his legs, so I try and backstep by controlling his head and shifting my hip. I'm in Kimura territory though, forcing me to be extra precautious. After he latches onto the Kimura, I sit on his face and try to attack an armbar of my own. However, he keeps his knees up, preventing me from lowering into the submission, and I'm forced to run away or deal with a leg entanglement. We'll re-engage by holding intense eye contact and try to seduce one another, but I'm not falling for his tricks and lower my level to start attacking my shots. John Michael hits a duck under, but I create distance and prevent him from gaining any advantage from it. I'll then hit him with my third low single leg of the day, this time shoving it and pushing his head down to the mat to finish the takedown. As I go to leap on his back, he swims my leg over his head and dumps me onto the floor. I'll shrimp out and start attacking a Choi bar by winding my leg around his head and pressing up against his hip. However, right before I'm about to finish it, we decide to move back to the center to keep the crowd safe. For my future opponents, if you want to win the wrestling battle with me, simply learn to defend the outside single as I go for it for the 4th time. This one was a little interesting though because I used an arm drag to force John Michael to step, then trapped his leg by sliding my knee and capturing his foot. John Michael randomly hits a handstand mid-roll, but falls to bottom and becomes the next victim of my knee slice brigade at ZR team today. However, he counters with a reverse arm drag, putting himself back on top. John Michael will then start to attack a darce from here. To defend this, I make sure to keep my hand around his inside forearm and arch my back to make it difficult to wrap up my head. After putting his balls on my face, he falls to the side and attempts to trap my arm with his leg. I'll use this opportunity to turtle up and flare my shoulders to create enough room to breathe. Also, if you guys like the Rashguard set that I'm wearing, make sure to check out yourjujitsusucks.com for monthly drops and luxury jiu-jitsu streetwear. I'll end up freeing my arm just enough to press up against John Michael's hip, and now I can start to raise my hips and create distance between my head and his hips, greatly reducing the effects of most front headlock chokes. John Michael latches onto a single leg, this time being very careful about my triangle setup. He'll negate it by trapping my near side leg, and as I kick out, he charges forward, sweeping me off his feet, but right onto his back. I waste no time capitalizing on the opportunity and dig my hand in for a choke. With his arm trapped, he doesn't have a lot of options other than falling asleep in my lap. He manages to free an arm, but it's too late and I'm able to sink in the rear naked choke. Now we still have about 1 minute left in the round, so let's see if John Michael can regain his dignity and finish me off too.
What?
I start working with an underhook, looking for a foot sweep. It seems as though John Michael is reading my mind as he looks to touch toes as well. I bring my underhook deeper, and as John Michael counters with a whizzer, I go for my foot sweep attempt. But it's countered and he locks up onto a tight waist, and I seem to be in quite the predicament. Then I remember a technique used against me from a former opponent named Jack Cornwell, and I look to test it out for myself. It appears that I'm still cursed with a one-trick single leg, as my takedown became John Michael's free back take. With less than 20 seconds in the round, John Michael starts to concoct his master plan. He first loops his leg across my torso, then locks me into a rear triangle. However, it gets more embarrassing than that. He reaches forward, grabs both my legs, and hits something he calls the trash compactor. Now, John Michael and I had about 3 rounds today, but due to the time, that's all I have for you right now. If you want to watch more of him and I, head on over and subscribe to my second channel, Carsahh BJJ Rolls, where I dump all my raw footage for you to see and study.